Imaginamos un futuro. Y lo que imaginamos nos horroriza. No la temerán hasta que lo entiendan.
You can't ever know the world that your film is going to come out into because it takes years to make a film. And certainly when I was starting to write, I had a conversation with one of my teenage sons who literally said to me, but does anybody worry about nuclear weapons in that way anymore? Will it speak to them in that way? To which I said, well, maybe that's a reason to make the film, because the story itself is just incredibly dramatic. But sadly, and for the worst possible reasons, 2 years later, he's not asking that question. Nobody's asking that question. And that's the thing about our fear of nuclear Armageddon, our fear of nuclear weapons. It ebbs and flows with movements in society, but the danger never ebbs and flows. It's always there at a constant level. It's almost as if, as human beings, we're just exhausted to worry about it all the time. We have to think about other things and worry about other threats and the other things we have going on in the world that are also important. But for me, this film needed to be infected with this undercurrent of dread that is the presence of nuclear weapons in our world that Oppenheimer ushered in and which will never go away.
Y no lo entenderán hasta que la hayan utilizado. La teoría solo llega hasta un punto.
Well, I think that it's very important to see an aspect of Oppenheimer's political thought that was not attached to strict, Communist Party dogma, because the accusation of him that he was a Communist Party member, he was vehemently denied. His activism and his intellectual curiosity about those ideas were one thing, but he also was passionate about the fight against fascism, and that expressed itself in support for Spanish Civil War, for the Republican side. It then expressed itself, he would send aid to refugees of the Spanish Civil War, but he would then send aid to Jewish colleagues in Germany with the rise of Nazism there. And so it was very important to include that in the film so that, this is a cause that the cause against fascism is a cause that anyone can relate to watching the film. A lot of people who would not be comfortable thinking of themselves as communist sympathizers, they need to understand the time. And at the time, communism was allied with the fight against fascism, which was a noble fight. And they need to understand that about Oppenheimer so we don't condemn him. And that's the way I've tried to approach the whole story, so that we're understanding him, not judging him. And I think seeing his commitment to the helping people affected by the Spanish Civil War is very important.
No sé si deberíamos poseer un arma así. Pero no tenemos elección.
I had used shifts between color and black and white previously in my work, in my film Memento. And I did it in that case in order to orient the audience in complex chronological structure. In the case of Oppenheimer, I wanted to use the device in a similar way to try and orient people in terms of the point of view of the film. And so the color sequences are all entirely Oppenheimer's point of view. We're in his head, we're seeing the things he saw, we're feeling the things he felt. The black and white sequences are more from Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Louis Strauss's point of view. It's a more objective view of Oppenheimer. And the script braids these things together, these different approaches, until they meet at the end.
Alguien va a contar.